I've been there. I'm telling you, they have a small army guard in the nigga, multiple shifts, checkpoints, all type of shit. They were treating the shit like it was almost like a maximum security jail. Like to keep it real, Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, didn't have better people protecting him than YoungBoy has 24 hours a day. Like I'm going up there, these niggas got silencers, they got snipers. Like these niggas was planning for some other shit. But I'm guessing when you got the money, you can just pay niggas just to be a small.
Reports claim NBA YoungBoy spends close to $30 million every single year just on security. That basically means a private army surrounding him, with snipers and security checkpoints around his property like he's some global leader. But hold up, before we dive deeper into how insane this situation really is, I've got to break down 5 key details about this operation that might genuinely shock you. And trust me, before we unpack all of it, understand something important. This isn't the kind of protection most celebrities have. We're talking about security that feels more like a full military operation than the lifestyle of a rap superstar. No cap. The entire setup honestly sounds unreal. Think about this for a second. What if becoming one of the biggest rappers alive also meant walking around with a massive target on your back every single day? Let me break down why that reality exists. NBA YoungBoy isn't just another artist releasing songs. The guy constantly dominates streaming platforms and has millions of devoted fans across the world. But that level of attention also carries serious risks. When you reach the top like that, there are always people waiting to see you slip up. And I'm not talking about random internet haters either. We're talking about real threats and potentially dangerous situations. Some people chase attention, others want money, and some simply act out of jealousy. Think about it. He's had public conflicts with several figures in the music industry. On top of that, he comes from a real street background, and his lyrics reflect genuine life experiences. That combination alone can create a serious risk. The truth is, he can't simply walk outside without considering safety first. And honestly, when you step back and think about it, that's a wild way to live. This is the reality of extreme fame. Life shifts in ways the average person can't even imagine. Going outside like a normal person stops being possible. Every move has to be carefully planned because there are people out there who might truly want to harm you. But here's another perspective that rarely gets talked about. Sometimes the danger isn't enemies, it's obsessive fans. This artist likely receives thousands of messages every day, and some supporters cross the line between admiration and obsession. Some individuals figure out exactly where he lives. Others show up unexpectedly. Some even convince themselves they share a personal connection with him just because they listen to his music. And here's the unsettling truth. Those types of people sometimes have way more time and resources than you'd expect. They could spend months studying habits and watching movements. That's exactly why the security system has to prepare for threats from every direction imaginable. But now, the story takes another interesting turn. NBA YoungBoy comes from an authentic street environment, and people raised with that mentality usually don't enjoy having heavy security around them constantly. So listen to this. Early in his career, YoungBoy reportedly pushed back against having serious protection because he believed he could handle situations on his own. That's the street mindset talking. You know the attitude, solve your own problems. At first, he probably assumed nobody would seriously challenge him like that. But fame changes the game in ways street instincts alone can't handle. Now, we're not talking about simple confrontations anymore. We're talking about organized threats and people who might have real resources behind them. Individuals who could move strategically and strike when you least expect it. Eventually, he had to face reality and put his pride aside. And when you see the level of protection surrounding him now, it becomes clear why that decision was necessary. Let's also talk about how a security team like this even gets assembled, because trust me, it's not as simple as putting out a job listing online. We're talking about recruiting former military soldiers, ex-Secret Service professionals, and specialists who have protected high-profile leaders and celebrities in dangerous environments. These aren't just big guys hired to look intimidating. These are highly trained experts with elite skill sets. The background screening process alone probably takes months. They have to make sure none of these guards have connections to potential enemies. They also check for financial problems that could make someone vulnerable to bribery. Psychological evaluations are likely part of the hiring process as well. Then comes the training phase. Security teams must study every inch of the property layout, memorize emergency escape routes, and rehearse crises repeatedly. It's basically constructing a private defense unit from scratch. Now, let me explain what this multi-million-dollar protection team actually does every single day. And believe me, this is where things start sounding unbelievable. These aren't typical bodyguards just standing nearby. This is a fully coordinated protection system working in rotating shifts around the clock. These professionals are trained in weapons handling, surveillance strategy, and threat detection. They monitor everything happening around him, every individual entering or leaving, every vehicle approaching the area, every movement in the surrounding environment. They rely on communication systems, backup procedures, and emergency evacuation plans. Honestly, they probably know what's happening around that property faster than most local police departments. But wait, because it gets even more intense. Protection doesn't end when he steps into public view. His entire home is guarded, his family is protected, and potential threats online are constantly monitored. Some reports even claim that food deliveries and packages get inspected for safety. That's the level of caution involved here. And here's another detail most people forget about, the digital side of this security operation. In today's world, danger doesn't only exist physically. Hackers might try to break into private information. Others might attempt to track someone's location through technology. Cybercriminals could even steal unreleased music or financial data. So, a portion of that massive security budget likely goes towards cybersecurity experts protecting his digital life. They monitor accounts, secure recording equipment, and keep communications fully encrypted. Think about it for a moment. If someone hacked his phone and located him in real time, all that physical protection could suddenly become useless. That's why digital security matters just as much as armed guards. Now, let's talk about where this entire operation is happening. NBA YoungBoy reportedly lives in the mountains of Utah, and the way security functions there sounds almost unbelievable. According to DJ Academics, who once visited the property, the setup feels straight out of an action movie. He described security checkpoints placed along the mountain road leading towards the house. Yes, actual checkpoints similar to what you'd see entering a restricted government area. Just imagine the process. You can't simply drive up to the property like a normal home. Visitors reportedly pass through several security stops where trained guards verify identities and confirm the reason for the visit. Background checks might even happen before someone gets close to the main house. And here's the wildest part. Academics claimed there are snipers positioned around the surrounding area. Snipers! Think about that. People equipped with high-powered rifles are watching every direction and monitoring every possible path leading towards the property. Let me be clear, this situation is absolutely serious. NBA YoungBoy is reportedly protected by what feels like a full private security force operating 24 hours a day, with rotating shifts so the moment one unit finishes, another immediately takes control. In reality, there's basically no second that property isn't being watched by trained professionals. But hold up, because there's a clever reason the Utah mountains were chosen that most people completely miss. The location itself is not accidental. It's actually a major piece of the security blueprint. Think about it for a moment. Mountains naturally create barriers and high observation points that make defending a location far easier. From that elevation, anyone approaching can be spotted from miles away, and there are only a handful of roads that lead up to the property anyway. It's essentially like securing the highest ground during a battle. On top of that, Utah simply doesn't have the same level of paparazzi or obsessed celebrity chasers you see in cities like Los Angeles or Miami. The surrounding population is smaller as well, which means strangers exploring the area would instantly look suspicious. That's not just privacy, that's calculated strategy disguised as peaceful living. And listen to this, because the weather is likely to strengthen the security even more. Heavy snow and harsh winter storms make sneaking up on the property incredibly difficult for anyone with bad intentions. At that point, nature itself becomes part of the defense system. But wait, this next detail genuinely surprised me. DJ Academics once explained what this whole security operation reportedly costs, and the numbers are honestly mind-blowing. Picture this for a moment. YoungBoy already owns a mansion valued somewhere between $10 and $15 million. But surprisingly, that house is just the starting expense. The shocking part is that he reportedly told a judge he was willing to pay about $2.4 million every month for full-time security protection. Let that sink in for a second. $2.4 million every month. When you calculate that yearly, it comes out to almost $30 million spent purely for safety. Most people don't even earn that much in their entire lifetime, yet he's spending it just to ensure he stays protected. And remember, he's still dealing with legal restrictions and wearing an ankle monitor due to ongoing court issues. That's one reason he chose a place where probation officers can easily reach him if needed. But even with those legal limits, the security around him looks more like the protection of a head of state. Now, here's something that really made people stop and think. DJ Academics even suggested that the security at YoungBoy's residence might rival what Donald Trump reported.
The difference is that instead of keeping people locked inside, the goal is to keep threats completely outside. Multiple checkpoints, highly trained guards positioned everywhere, and surveillance cameras likely covering every inch of land. And the wild reality is that all of this could actually be necessary. This isn't simply YoungBoy showing off wealth or acting paranoid. It's what protecting someone with his level of fame and enemies can look like today. Now listen carefully, because the next part goes even deeper. Let me explain the real scale of this entire protection network. Everything we've discussed so far might only scratch the surface. Imagine if that $30 million per year budget covers far more than just armed guards walking around. We're probably talking about cybersecurity specialists monitoring his digital presence around the clock. There could also be analysts collecting intelligence to identify potential threats before they even become serious. Some individuals may even be hired specifically to plan emergency evacuation routes and secret safe houses. Think about it for a moment. Likely, teams are scanning social media 24 hours a day, searching for posts that could hint at threats toward YoungBoy. They might even have connections providing information from law enforcement or other sources about possible risks. When you look at it this way, it almost feels like a full intelligence network designed to protect one person. And honestly, coordinating everything must be incredibly complicated. Managing multiple security teams, ensuring they all have the right equipment, and constantly training them on the property layout is a massive operation by itself. On top of that, those teams must be updated whenever new threats appear. That kind of coordination alone could require several full-time managers. I'm not exaggerating either. There's a strong chance the property even has a dedicated command center where everything is monitored live. Picture walls covered with screens showing every camera angle across the land. Communication systems keep every guard post connected instantly. There might even be direct lines connecting the security team with local law enforcement and emergency services. But hold up, here's a part people rarely consider. This entire security operation probably impacts the Utah community around it economically. Think about the scale of money involved. $30 million per year doesn't simply disappear. A lot of that money likely goes to local security companies, equipment providers, and possibly coordination with nearby police departments. In fact, YoungBoy's protection system could be creating dozens of well-paid jobs in the area. Local businesses probably benefit too. Security staff need meals every day. Some may require housing during extended assignments. Their vehicles need fuel, repairs, and constant servicing. When you really think about it, one rapper's safety budget might quietly be supporting an entire local economy. And honestly, that could be the most surprising part of this entire story. Here's another interesting angle. Local authorities probably appreciate this level of professional protection because it reduces the workload for them. If anything serious happened, YoungBoy's trained security team could respond immediately without relying on local police. But hold on a second, let's talk about what living like this might do to someone mentally. Imagine waking up every day knowing you need a security force just to stay alive. That's where the reality becomes intense. NBA YoungBoy can't simply wake up and randomly drive to a restaurant whenever he feels like it. Every movement must be planned, approved, and coordinated with security first. That's not normal freedom. It's more like living inside a luxury fortress. And think about the people close to him. Family members, friends, and visitors likely have to pass through serious security screening before even entering the property. That kind of lifestyle can easily create tension in relationships because everything becomes complicated. At the same time, imagine the peace of mind that comes with knowing you're protected at that level. YoungBoy can go to sleep knowing trained professionals are guarding every direction to protect him and his loved ones. Now here's something most fans rarely think about. How does this level of protection affect his creativity and music? On one hand, feeling safe might allow him to focus completely on creating art without worrying about threats. It could even help him express deeper emotions in his songs. But on the other hand, this isolation might disconnect him from the street experiences that originally inspired his music. How do you stay authentic while living inside a heavily guarded compound? Maybe that's part of the reason his music has evolved. He's not only talking about street survival anymore, now he's also speaking about the pressure and reality of success. That perspective is something only someone in his situation can truly explain. Now, let's step back and view this from a business perspective. Spending $30 million a year on protection sounds insane at first, but when you consider the revenue YoungBoy generates, the logic becomes clearer. Through streaming numbers, tours, and business ventures, he likely earns tens of millions annually, so dedicating a large portion of that income towards security could be a smart investment. Because let's be honest, what good is success if you're not alive to enjoy it? What's the point of building an empire if you can't defend it? This security system is protecting his ability to keep earning money, and if anything tragic happened to him, that income would stop instantly. His family would suffer. His team would lose their jobs. Millions of fans would lose the artists they support. When you look at it that way, the security is protecting far more than just one person. But wait, there's another layer people rarely think about. The technology behind this security system must be extremely advanced. We're likely talking about military-grade surveillance cameras, infrared sensors, motion detectors, and maybe even drones monitoring the property from the sky. The technology budget alone could exceed what many people spend on their homes. And then there are the communication tools these guards rely on. Security teams need constant contact with one another. That probably means encrypted radio systems, private communication networks, and possibly satellite backup systems. Then there's transportation. The team likely uses armored vehicles and may even have helicopters for emergency evacuations. Just the transportation side could cost millions on its own. Now, compare that spending with that of other celebrities. Most A-list stars spend around $1 or $2 million per year on protection. That's already considered high-level security. But $30 million annually? That's closer to what governments spend protecting national leaders. Even artists like Drake, who have dealt with public conflicts, reportedly don't operate anywhere near this scale. Numbers like this show how serious the potential threats around YoungBoy might be. This isn't about luxury or showing off wealth. It's about survival in the spotlight. And we also have to remember the legal side of everything. YoungBoy is managing these security operations while still dealing with legal restrictions. That alone adds major complications. His team likely works closely with probation officers to ensure every guard is licensed and every action follows the law. Lawyers probably oversee many of these decisions. When you're spending this much money, everything must be carefully documented. Contracts must be legally sound. Security strategies must stay within legal boundaries. So the real question becomes the $30 million question. Is all of this protection actually worth the cost? From a financial standpoint, it might be. If the system allows him to continue making music and building his brand safely, the return on investment could be enormous. But from a lifestyle perspective, things are more complicated. Yes, he's safe, but he's also living inside what feels like a fortress. Spontaneous moments and normal experiences become rare. But here's the reality. When someone reaches that level of fame, normal life already disappears. So maybe this level of security actually gives him the freedom to focus on his career without constant fear. And let's not forget about family. This protection isn't only for NBA YoungBoy, it's also for the people he loves. When you look at it that way, $30 million begins to make more sense, especially when children are involved. Because once you have kids, everything changes. Protecting them becomes the most important responsibility, and that alone might make every dollar of this security budget feel justified. After breaking all of this down, the $30 million yearly cost still sounds unbelievable, but looking deeper, it may actually be necessary. YoungBoy is living a reality most people can't even imagine. The level of threats, pressure, and responsibility is far beyond normal life. And honestly, the most shocking part might be what this says about fame. The fact that someone needs to spend this much money just to stay safe shows how dangerous celebrity life can become. This isn't about luxury anymore. It's about survival in the spotlight. And that's the real story behind NBA YoungBoy's massive security operation. But listen, if you found this breakdown interesting, hit that like button and tell me in the comments if you think $30 million a year is worth it for this kind of protection. And if you want more deep dives into the hidden lifestyles of your favorite artists, make sure to subscribe because there's plenty more stories coming. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.